Hi, hello, welcome back to take 7, I believe, of Behind the Scenes with Ann Charles. Um, and I'm going to start again because my computer just sat there and spun for a little bit. It's take 7 of Behind the Scenes with Ann Charles. I don't know why I'm holding this piece of paper right now. Today is April 25th. Thank you all who are coming, and those of you who are early know that I usually take a little time to get things rolling as we wait for everybody to be able to find the live window click thing on Facebook, which I can never find when I'm trying to watch a live show. So hello to all, and I appreciate you guys coming on what's a beautiful Saturday here in Arizona. I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but I hope it's nice and sunny, or if it's rainy, it's not crazy tornado rainy crazy. So today is, as I said, April 25th, and I'm going to try to say this correctly. I want to mention that over in Australia and New Zealand, it is Anzac Day, which stands for Army. No, I'm sorry. Give my brain a moment here. Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, and it's the National Day of Remembrance and the first landing of the Anzacs at Gallipoli. I hope I said that right as well. Lest we forget is what I've been told is where in America we may say Happy Memorial Day, or remembering those who served. They say lest we forget. So that is what today, although officially it might be the next day. It might be the 26th by now over in Australia and New Zealand. But anyway, 25th, lest we forget. On to today's show. We've got a good show today. I say that like I know, like there's more than one of us, me and Anne and the third person in my head. Today we're going to talk about Rattling the Heat in Deadwood, book 8 of the Deadwood series. And this was a lot of fun to write. This was Violet versus the Heat, or the cops, specifically Detective Hawk. But Cooper was in there as well with some issues of his own. I would start, I'll read the back cover copy really quick and then start moving into other stuff as I wait, and we'll get some questions going. So, Rattling the Heat, a scrappy, hot-blooded woman can only take so much. Violet Parker is on fire, or rather under fire yet again. New evidence has fanned the embers of a cold murder case, and her alibi is smoldering at the corners, while battling a dog detective determined to pin the murder on her, aka Hawk. Violet scrambles to find the real killer. Will she escape the heat with singed tail feathers? And on a side note, singed always look like sing to me. When I write it, I always double check it. But singed tail feathers, or will Violet go down in flames? So, book 8 of the Deadwood Mystery Series. Now, before we start, I thought I'd show a little bit about, some visual stuff, graphics and all that, before I start taking any questions. This is a picture that I sent to my brother, although he's seen the Deadwood Police Station plenty of times. This is what I sent him to get him rolling on the cover picture. See if I can hold this up. I always do this backwards. There we go. That is the real deal. That is the Deadwood City Hall, and you can see over on the side, police. So that is what we used, and this is what's left. Again, there we go. Get it in front and center. So that's kind of the background, and some of the hillside behind it you see, and we have hillside behind it. So we a lot of times will try to use a real building when we can and make it look sort of, what it looks like out there in Deadwood. The other thing I started doing more frequently by the time this book came out was working on cool posters. Had to go back a little bit. These posters, instead of just in the past where I'd just done the cover more, this time I started, and it might have been with book 7, I started hiring Lauren Glover, who is an amazing graphic artist, to make the cover, or make the posters that go with each book. Because it seemed like we were having a fair amount of people that were enjoying winning posters as a promo team member, or picking them up at book signings. I usually sign these and give them if you buy one of the books during a book signing. So we started doing this more frequently. And I do believe we started with 7, maybe 6, because, yeah, she had the old barn. But by this point, it's a regular thing, which reminds me that I need to get doing this for book 11. We do have the cover already done. I tend to hold on to that cover. I'm not going to throw this because it's my kids and they want it back. My sons, actually. We do tend to hold, or I tend to hold on to the cover and not share it with you guys until I have a pre-order button ready, because I think it's less confusing that way. If you know, oh, here comes the book, it's pre-ordered, here's all the good stuff, so you can just go right and grab it. So that's why I hold on. We usually have the cover done probably a month and a half in advance to 2 months even of the actual book release. But we use it and we build all the promo, we build all kinds of marketing things, we make all kinds of fun posters, prize stuff that we give away to the promo team that helps us. And when I say the promo team, that's not the beta team. This is the team that actually, you guys volunteer every time and you're awesome, those of you who help me. And you tell others on Facebook and you tell others at the grocery store, wherever. You help me spread the word that the new book's out. And you guys are awesome for doing that and helping me. It's so cool. So many authors struggle to get word out about their books nowadays. And it's because of you all who volunteer and help me tell others that I'm able to spread word as far as we can about this whole thing. So let me see. We can probably start going. We're about 6 minutes in, and we got a good number. So why don't we get started with some questions and answers? And I don't know what you guys are drinking today. I have no children here, so I get to drink. We got this at Costco, of course, Kirkland. Sweet, good stuff. I don't know if I like it better than the other stuff, but it'll do for today. So I hope you have whatever you're going to have to drink, and let's get some questions going. Lisa, what is Cooper's first name? Lisa, I told you that. I'm not going to tell you again. You have to go back and figure out where I told you. Do we revisit the tunnel hole at Calamity Jane? Did Jane know that it was there? This is Christina. I'm going to come back to that, Christina, because I brought some stuff to talk about threads and things about this book that came at the end. I think Diane Garland wrote it up for me, and we circle back on that a little bit. And I'll mention something regarding that. How could Violet kiss Miss Wolf? Oh, Gail, kill Miss Wolf and not know it? That's Gail Mathers. Hi, Gail. If you remember, it's a whole time loop thing. Now, time loops are tricky. And I'm just going to leave it at that. The time loops are tricky. Something that happened previously, you may not remember, because in the process of looping, you come back and you're going to go through that whole thing again. So she did not remember, due to the time loop, that it's a paranormal thing that Miss Wolf had set into motion. So I don't have a set scientific reason to explain it, except it was a time loop. And until Violet completed the time loop, then she didn't remember how it all went down. So I don't know if that answers it enough for you, Gail, but that's what I have. Why aren't the real book covers used on the ebooks available on Nook? From Sharon Wheeler. I'm not sure what they would use instead, Sharon. I thought they were over there on Nook. They should be. We upload the book covers just like we do on Amazon and Kobo and Apple. I'll have to go check that out later. But if you're talking about the Deadwood series, then I don't know why the real covers aren't used. I'm not sure what you're looking at. Tara Schneider. Hi, Tara. Tara. I'm sorry if I said it wrong. How long did it take you to develop your plotting technique? Do you ever change it or add to it as you write more? I think it's been slowly evolving over time, but it was probably, I don't know if those of you know this book, Violet, okay, Nearly Departed in Deadwood, the first book in the Deadwood series. That is book 7 that I have written. I had written 6 other books prior to that. 2 of them were Jackrabbit 1 and 2, which is Dance of the Winnebagos, and oh boy, Jackrabbit Junction Jitters. My brain is not working today. So I'd already written those 2. I'd already written Look What the Wind Blew In twice, did a total rewrite on that. So that counts as 2 books as much as I rewrote. And There was a book, Identity Crisis, that I wrote that will probably not see the light of day unless I have to do a major rewrite. And I don't know what that adds up to, but one or two others that will probably not see the light of day. So anyhow, by the time I hit Violet's first book, I already had some stuff set, in place. And I was pretty consistent with how I would do the things I showed in the last show, where I talked about the plot diagram and the threads and all that good stuff that was mixed in there. So I was already kind of doing all that. And what I've done in the time since is sometimes I'm more diligent about filling it all out. And sometimes I just race through and get it done and then go back and make sure I have all the elements I need and everything that's in there. So it's really been years of doing this. Now I started writing, wow, the very first book I wrote was in 1995, I believe, 96, and that was horrible. And I wrote some more, and then I took a break and finished my long college career. And then I came back and I started writing again before my son was born, a couple years, so around 2002, 2003. So there's been a lot of time before first book, which is Nearly Departed Deadwood, was published in January 2011. There were years and years prior to that of writing, about 15 plus. So I took a long time to develop. I'm not a quick learner, apparently. Let's go to another one. How can you get bookmarks? From Teresa. Oh, Teresa, well, you can mail me at Ann Charles, oh boy, P.O. Box 20, is it 2973 or 2793? It's on my website. You can mail me at that, Prescott, Arizona, and you can say, I'd like a bookmark. But here's the thing. I usually only have the most recent bookmarks. Each time I put a book out, with exception of the shorts, I will create a new bookmark, which is another thing I need to talk to my Lorana Glover, my graphic artist helper, with. But anyway, I will have a bookmark just for that book on the front, and then I'll usually include the series on it. So I will order 1,000 of those bookmarks, and when they're gone, usually they're gone, and I don't order more. So if you get a bookmark from long ago, you can hold on to it if you want or not. Depends on, if you like to hold on to those things. But those won't come back around. I do not do reprints of bookmarks. So you can also sign up for my newsletter, which is over on my website again. And every time we do giveaways all the time. When I send out a newsletter, we usually give something away. And a lot of times it's a bookmark. So if you're signed up there, all you have to do is write to me, email, and at reader@AnnCharles and ask for a bookmark, and we'll send it. So there's many ways to get a bookmark when I have them going. I was trying to think. The other way is you can be part of the promo team, which I'll ask for people to sign up. And I think we call the Deadwood Deputies is for the Deadwood series. So you can be part of the Deadwood Deputies, and they get a thank you card with a bookmark almost always too. So there's lots of ways to get a bookmark. Okay, let me look here at another question. Show you what I'm looking at. Sharon, I'm going to look back at that Nook thing. The covers are on the books on Nooks. Mr. Lucky told me. He heard your question. So maybe you can do a screenshot and send it to me and show me what you're looking at, and I can help you on the side later. Let's see. Diane Nealon, do you ever experience writer's block? I think what I experience is writer's exhaustion. I will finish a book, and if it's a hard push, I will struggle. I mean, I'll kind of pull away for a while and just want to be left alone. And then sometimes it will take me a little bit longer to get back going again because I'm tired and I've pushed my right brain really hard, and it wants a break. And when it wants a break, there's not much I can do. We can try to write, but the other problem is my left brain, which is marketing and bookkeeping. Once it gets taken over everything and starts doing its thing, it's very left brain and will not let the right brain come back. And so I have to do a lot of work to kind of shove it in the closet and get it out of my head, get over there, let me focus on writing. So I do struggle sometimes, and often it's after a big book. I finished and shipped my Deadwood 11 off to my editor on Monday night, and I just kind of got back to work today. So I took several days off there and I read books and I watched movies, hung out with my kids and my husband just to get away from it all for a little bit. But I do find now that I'm starting to want to go back. So there's more editing to be done. So I will be going back. But I do have a lot of moments of, when I'm in the thick of it too, of I'm tired. I just want to take a break, but I really can't in the thick of a book. So I have to keep pushing. Let's see what's the next one. I hope I answered that well enough. Do you have a favorite character? Do you have favorite books in the series so far? That's Jan. Oh boy, there's a lot of favorite characters. There's a lot that are fun on the screen. There are a lot that are hard when I go to do a scene, not the screen, the book. That are really tough to write when I'm on scene with them. Prudence, for example, is fun, but she's tough to write because she doesn't, speak like Harvey or the regular day stuff. So I have to work a little bit on how she sounds, how she would say stuff. Sam, lucky a lot of times, will go over that after I get done and help me tweak it even more. I try to think of Katharine Hepburn and the way she spoke in so many wonderful old movies, Philadelphia, True Grit, all kinds of stuff, and the way she talked. Because to me, that's kind of Prudence's voice. So that's a lot of times a little bit tougher for me. I do love when I have a scene coming up with Harvey and Vi. I'm excited to read it and think about what comes up. Cooper and Vi are fun because the way they just headbutt so much. Doc and Vi are always fun. Natalie's a good time when Natalie's going to be on screen. So there's a lot of, it's kind of like when you hang out with your friends. You have different friends, and when you go over to so-and-so's house, you're probably going to end up talking about work, but that's okay because you have a fun time when you talk about work. And when you go to your parents' house or your mom's or your dad's, you're going to talk about this, or your kid's house, and you'll probably go into detail about that. So it's the same thing with these characters. When you're going to have a scene with them, okay, I know I'm going to have a scene with Harvey. Get ready, because he's going to say something that will make Violet and me blush, undoubtedly, with what he, comes out of his mouth. So it's it feels a lot the same way. So it's really hard to have one favorite character from any series. It's more of what combination characters, are we going to have, and how fun is this going to be? Another thing that's tough, the big scenes, when I do a dinner scene with maybe 10 characters on scene, those are, they can be a lot of fun, but they're really hard for me to write because I have to make sure the dialogue tells who's talking, and I don't want to use a lot of he saids and she said, so I don't want to clutter up the page with that. So I have to really work at getting the right mix of dialogue and the right cadence for the scene and having things happening, and then the funny stuff that happens, making sure I hit it just right so you can understand what's being said and why it's funny. So those are kind of tough scenes a lot of times. I should keep moving. Let's see. Mr. Black said he was watching over Lane for protection. This is from Barbara West. Hi, Barbara. Lane has studied the family book and weapons. Could he be able to advise Violet on how to kill or capture more of the others as she goes? It is a possibility, but the thing is, they've kept from Lane the fact that this is really their family book. He assumes it's a book about female gladiators, just a cool old leather book that Aunt Zoe or someone had. So he's not really knowingly going to advise, and I can't see them telling him at any near point, hey, this is your family line, and this is your mom, because I think that would be hard on a kid. So what Lane tends to do, I find, is he says things about the characters that he found in this book or talks to the weapons. And in doing that, he's giving Violet some insight that comes from a different point of view, which is really valuable. So that's kind of the part Lane currently plays. Does the loop make Violet stronger somehow, Gail? I think it does, because she's now a timekeeper after she completes the loop. We have yet to discover what a timekeeper role, what all that entails for her, except that she can now hear the clocks and watch for any potential killers or hunters coming for her through the other realms that are coming into the one she's on, or the plane she's on, I guess. So in that way, it does make her stronger. It helps her to be able to watch her back a little bit more this time. She needs to learn more. She needs to learn more about everything, but she's still trying to live her life and be a mother and do a job and fit it all in along with this new executioner role. So like me, she's not really good at juggling her time and her what she needs to do. But in time, I hope she gets better. Oh, email reader at anncharles.com with a bookmark request. Thank you. That was from Wendy Gildersleeve, who is my helper and my sister-in-law. Curious, well, oops, I lost it. Curious when you and your husband co-write together. This is from Mary Gearson. Hi, Mary. And you like your idea and he doesn't, who gives? we try to, we each have our opinions on certain things, what we really want. And if the other disagrees, we try to lobby our point, why it's important, why it needs to be there. And that seems to work for us. If one of us feels very strongly about it, then okay, then it's in there. There's a reason. There's something in our storyteller brain saying this has to be in there. And so far, the other of us has been, okay, let's put it in there and we'll work, we'll work with this. However, so that's usually how it's gone so far. Since Mr. Black is an other, this is Gail, hi Galian. Since Mr. Black is an other, then all of the others aren't evil, correct? And that is correct. Others are not always evil. That is the thing. Now, if you read the Undertaker series that Sam Lucky and I work on, you will see it was in book 2. There was a scene where you see another executioner along with Clementine, who's an executioner back then, arguing the point kind of about this in a bar in Galena where they're saying, Clem's like, not everybody is evil. You can't just go and kill everyone. And the rogue executioner has a different opinion on that. So, yeah, I think Aunt Zoe said at some point in one of the books that Violet has to determine who are her true enemies and slay those that need slaying. So that is, you're correct on that, Mary. Let's see, or Gail. This is from Pat. Hi, Pat. Will Violet ever read the family book to see what has happened in the past, or is she going to go off with Cliff Notes version? Well, she learned a lot back over New Year's in Fatal Traditions, for those of you who read that book, that short story. So she did learn quite a bit. Will she sit down and read the books? I don't know. We shall see. That part of Violet is based a lot off my father, who he reads magazines, he reads all kinds of stuff. Totally literate. But does he read books? No, I don't think I've ever seen him read a book in my whole life. He's waiting for my books to become movies. He can read just fine. He just is not into reading books. Violet has read a romance or two, I think, in a bubble bath way back in one of the books. And I believe the romance was one of Jackie Rogers, my friends, for those of you who know Jackie. But I don't know that she really has the time, or unlike us, she doesn't like to just sit there and read. And I think that book in particular about her family history intimidates her a lot. She has nightmares already. She has all kinds of trouble she's dealing with. And to read that book would be sitting down and reading a book today about these are all the things that could very likely kill you in the next couple months or more. And here they are listed. And here's some explanations about these killers. Now go out and live your life. It's not something that really, some people might go, yeah, I'm going to read that and be on top of that. And other people, kind of like me, might go, I'm just going to not read that and I'm going to go forth with my life and take my chances. It's not really responsible. But then again, if she's got Doc there who's read it and Aunt Zoe and can help her with things. So I don't know. Not all of us are perfect and want to go out and seek what's going on with our lives. I'm not one to ever go and get I'll read a horoscope, but I have not had my palm read, or I've only once had someone, do the cards for me. And I didn't like it because I thought, no, I want to be surprised at what comes. I don't want to know. Is Cooper nicer to Violet? This is from Heather. Is Cooper nicer to Violet due to seeing ghosts, understanding it more because he can't stand Hawk, or because he has the ins with Nat? I think it's ins, Heather. You mean if you're talking about in this book in particular, if he's nicer to Violet due to these? Yes, to all of them. I think him and Violet are starting to understand more. He's starting to understand her and how crazy her life is, because now his life is becoming crazy. So he has more empathy for her and what she's gone through. And the same in return, she now knows he's seeing ghosts, and it's horrible what he sees. He doesn't see the pretty ghosts. He sees them in their horrible death form. So I think they're starting to have more empathy for each other. And he really likes Doc. He's good friends with Doc. He, as we know, likes Natalie, and that is Violet's best friend. So their lives are just becoming more entwined. He likes, I think, is it this book? Oh, sorry about this. Is it this book where he's with Violet the whole time, right? He's staying at the place with her, at Aunt Zoe's with her, watching her. So they're starting to get more of an understanding for each other and deal with their personalities together a little bit better. Let's see. Did you take writing classes? This is from Susan. Hi, Susan. Did you take writing classes, or what is your background as far as you getting writing? Susan, I think you've heard this long story before, but I'll make it short. I took English because of the 4 colleges I went to, each of them made me take English 101 again. So by the 4th time I was taking English 101 again, which is just absurd, I thought, okay, I think this is a sign that I'm supposed to be doing something with an English degree. Remember back to where I just said I don't like to have my future told, anyone tell me that? This was somebody beating me over the head with, listen, you need to write, because we're going to keep making you take English 101 till you finally go, oh, I should write books. So that's kind of the background. I took a ton of English. And then when I got to get the English with creative writing, I took a lot more English. So by the time I was done, I was not the best writer coming out of high school. And that is not to insult my high school English teachers. They were wonderful. But it wasn't what I wanted to do. So I only did what I needed to do to get by. And I only spoke what I needed for people to understand. So it took me a lot of years of college to improve my skills. And I am by far really good at this. That's why an editor is so important to me, and why I also like to have first draft crew and beta crew to go through and help me, because I'm not a perfect writer. I don't do everything right. I've had some real doozies in the past that I've done that are pretty funny. Luckily, only a few people have heard those or read those. So I know I need a really good editor and lots of eyes to help me put out a really nice, clean product. And I appreciate all the help I get. So that's kind of in a nutshell. Do you think Violet and Doc will ever come across Clementine and her crew, say, in a history book or in one of Violet's visions? That's from Becca Lynn. Hi, Becca. Do I think? I think it's going to be exciting. There's going to be a lot of exciting stuff to come, and I don't want to give away anything really fun. But I will say that Clementine kicks butt in the Old West, and Violet's getting better, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So just stay tuned and stick with me, because there's much more to come in the whole series. What's going on? And you can come beat me if you want for giving you that lucky answer, Becca. Will you ever plan a trip or gathering on the East Coast, Heather? Yes, I would love to, Heather. One of the key things right now is we take our kids with us. You know that. Beaker and Chicken Noodle still come with us. They're 15 and 13. And we are limited in that we usually try to find family to stay with. When we go to Florida every year or every other year, Christmas time, we go and stay with Chicken Noodle's best friend and his family. And so we try to make it so it's a family thing. When we go to Deadwood, we're going up and visiting my mom, and then the kids, they love Deadwood. Chicken Noodle wants to actually live in Deadwood and maybe have a veterinary clinic there. So, but I think she plans on us buying the house and the whole clinic for her. Anyway, she wants to live in Deadwood, and I say, do it, and then I'll stay up with you for half of the year until the snow gets too much for me. But anyway, we try to incorporate the kids' enjoyment into our trips. We don't have family or really, really close friends that we can stay in their house and feel comfortable. over on the East Coast at this time, so we haven't gone over there beyond. I mean, we go to Florida, but that's way down in the Southeast. So that's really the reasoning behind where we travel for book signings. Ohio is my family. Deadwood's my mom and family and good friends from a long time ago. Washington is family. So you can kind of see we really stick to where we know people at this time that can stand us enough to put up with us for a week. Let's see, Sharon, Nook cover. I figured it out. It's the first page in the real deal. You can only see the real cover in the library. Okay, good. I'm glad we worked that one out. That had me concerned. What made you make Violet a timekeeper? That's Kimberly. I'm trying to remember back, Kimberly, what made me decide to make her a timekeeper. I thought it was a really interesting twist because there have not been any executioners / timekeepers in this world I'm creating and in the history of executioners. If you've read Fatal Traditions, you'll read that, executioners have mixed with a summoner, and there's been other hybrid mixes with the executioners, but this would be, in my head, the first timekeeper mix. And timekeeping is not simply having clocks on your walls. There's a lot more to it. I'm not going to tell you all there is to it because that's what we'll be exploring as the series continues. But just as Mr. Black is multiple things, he's not just a timekeeper. He has many other duties. Violet is becoming the same. And she's a medium. She has all these paranormal abilities, as we've learned through Doc and Cornelius. She's not just an executioner. She has much more. And as you read more about Prudence as time keeps going, you're starting to see that Prudence is not just an executioner. She also has a lot of other abilities she does. So these executioners have strategically mixed, I like to think, over time with different beings and different humans with different skills and whatnot to create a stronger executioner, because the others and the creatures they're battling keep getting stronger and stronger too. So everybody has to keep improving their skills and mixing up their game to keep being successful in what they do. That's a good question. Would, Patty, this is from Patty. Hi, Patty. Would there ever be a chance of you doing a signing in the Midwest? I know mostly fields of beans and corn, but it would be exciting if possible. Yes, Patty, I do travel the Midwest a lot, and I have done, I go to Sioux Falls, which is even closer to Midwest than Deadwood. And I go to Ohio because that's where my family's from. But still, like I said, I haven't really set locations yet because with the kids, it just doesn't work. Now, our kids, like I said, are getting older. And Mr. Lucky and I discuss about in the next 5 years, as the kids go, I don't want to go on these book signing trips anymore. It opens up for us to do trips where we can make other stops along the way for just the two of us to enjoy. So it's coming. We'll be doing more and start doing more signings as time goes on. But first, we got to get our kids growing a little bit more. The rogue executioner is Prudence, right? That's Laura. And the rogue executioner we're referring to is back in the Deadwood Undertaker series. And I'm not going to say 100% yes or no, but Laura, she signs her name with a P. So that to me is... But I do like Rogue Executioner. That's such a great title for someone. When she's, this is for Violet. When she sleeps with Doc, why doesn't she have any nightmares? That is something I believe in book 9 that is spelled out. And I think Mr. Black is that explains that to us. And that was from Gail. Gail, you have some great questions today. In book 9, Gone Haunting, where we find out that Doc is not just your average everyday Joe either. He is a medium. We already know that. But there's more to Doc than meets the eye. That's a nice thought, isn't it? So you'll find out more about Doc and what effects he has on Violet. And again, I go back to that whole executioners mating with certain species or certain talented humans that have different genetic things. There's a lot of opportunity to increase her strength. But that would mean she has to have a kid. And Violet does not want kids. Nor do I. No more kids. But so I totally get where she's coming from on that whole baby thing. In some of the scenes, do you try to use not bad words, or are there some that need a good F-bomb, Heather? Yes, I do. Okay, let's be real. When I'm at home, sometimes with and without the kids, the F-bomb flows. I'm not a perfect mom in that way. However, I do try to mix it up with Violet a little bit because I've read books where there's a lot of F-bombs, and as much as it doesn't bother me, it kind of gets on my nerves after a while. If there's too much of a swear word, any swear word, it could be the word damn, it could be whatever, just too much of it is too much. And I feel that with all sorts of words throughout the story. So there'll be words I go back through and look for before we go live. Another is just. Just is a word that you can overuse, and you can use it so many times and not realize you're even using it. So I will go through and look at how many justs do I have in this book. So I do watch for F-bombs, but there are times when I feel, depending on the character too, that the situation deserves a certain level of swear word. And that is a lot of times when you'll see Violet drop the F-bomb. You'll notice Doc doesn't swear a lot. He says Christ, damn, but he doesn't swear a whole lot unless stuff gets really bad. Cooper, on the other hand, swears. Cooper is, and I'm not saying all cops swear, but I've known many cops in my time and they tend to swear. So I try to make him a little bit more where he swears more liberally. Harvey says all kind of crazy stuff. So I try to mix it up a little bit, but yeah, there are times I feel when you swear. That's just the way life is for most of us, not all. Some people are really good at swearing. Not me. Is Addie having nightmares, or is she starting to show the same abilities for slaying? That's Dawn Black. You know, at first I thought it was just nightmares, but now I'm starting to think Addie's got, things are starting to develop. And if you think about Addie's age, she's starting to hit preteen and all the pre-hormones and all the good stuff that comes with that. Woohoo! So I do believe that Addie is starting to show signs of what's to come. And it's also a sign, you know, Violet's there. So why would Addie be being called into play as an executioner? That's a good question. What does that mean? What we've learned in the past is that there is more than one executioner called upon, or called up, if you will, if the situation requires more. There's like some kind of natural order that goes on. And so the fact that Addie is showing small signs of being like her mother should be a concern to many, because what is that saying? That Violet's not enough? That more is needed? What is that saying to you, to others, to, you know, whatever? So that's the thing to think about. And yes, I just filled up. So, because I'm halfway done, and it's always good at half point to start. Because as we learned long ago, don't start at the beginning. That was bad for me. Let's see. How do I become a Deadwood deputy? From Teresa. Teresa, that's a great question. I am going to be doing a call for Deadwood deputies, and it'll probably be soon. I look at the clock next to me like that's going to tell me. In the next couple of weeks, we'll be doing a call for deputies, I believe. And we'll do it on Facebook, and we'll put it out on Twitter, and we'll put it on Instagram, and I'll put it in my newsletter. So if you've signed up, if you're on any of those, you can watch for it. It'll be a call for Deadwood deputies. And we'll do several. It won't just be one shot. We'll do several. And you can even sign up to do it after we've already started promoting. So there's plenty of opportunity. Just keep coming back. And if you hit mid-May and you haven't heard anything about it, send me a private message, and I will make sure your name's on the list before we even start collecting names. But we should be going by then. Like I said, I took a few days off, but I'm getting back going. So we're getting things rolling. Am I remembering correctly that Doc and Violet were drawn to each other in part because of their talents and bloodlines? Is part of that to encourage them to have kids with extra talents? That's from Tara. I would say, looking from the outside in, that it is more than just a coincidence that they ran into each other in Deadwood. That, both had moved there, and I would like to think that as much as Violet doesn't like the idea, that if they were to produce offspring, it might be a very talented offspring. Or not. I don't know. You know, you never know what each kid comes out, you know, to be in life. But more than likely, yeah, you're breeding for a purpose, right? And especially in this world. And if you think about Violet's twins, Rex, ugh, let's not think too much about Rex and breeding, but he's not an idiot. He was very, very smart. And she has said she has a thing for very intelligent guys. And I think that's part of her genetics coming in too, is finding not only a strong physical mate, but an intelligent one, because that's required with her line to produce intelligent offspring that can do what they need to do. Let's see, is there anyone in the Undertaker series that are ancestors of Doc? That's from Kimberly. I don't think so. I don't want to answer too much and say definitely no or yes, but Doc came from somewhere else. He wasn't in that area. His offspring, he comes from, I know he hails from Colorado in the story, but in my mind, he's not from around there at all. So he comes from another area. And I don't want to go into too much more detail than that, because I like to keep some stuff a surprise. But that's, I think I've gotten through most of the questions for now. I was going to show you a few more things. La, 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 la. Again, we talked last week about the different stuff I use, and I'll take more questions, so don't feel like you have to stop. It's just I'm going to switch for a little bit and give us a break. So again, I had a GMC for this series, and the theme of Book 8, for those of you who like to talk about theme, I hated it in English, in high school English especially. What is the theme of this book? Blah, 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 blah. But I find, ironically, that I use theme a lot. So same hell, different devil is kind of the theme concept, whatever you want to call it. And if you think about it, she was dealing with the same thing, the heat, the cops, and all the troubles, and Miss Wolf and the whole thing, but different devil, she's dealing with Hawk. She was not dealing with Cooper so much in this. He was actually there to help her. And then I also had the same thing going, but what's interesting in this one is you'll see I got through this part, and then I did this part, and then it's like the book just stopped. That is a sign that I was rushing to get through to the end on this one, and I stopped using this altogether. I actually stopped on the thread sheet, clear on 19. I got to 19, and I did that one, and then the rest of them I just slammed it out and did some stuff. I don't know. That's really weird. When I do that, it tends to mean I just hit a racing point in my brain where it just kept going, and I didn't want to stop and just analyze everything. I could see the story clearly, so I just went poop, 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 poop. So that kind of happens. Let's see. And then here was something fun that Diane Garland, who many of you know is my story world keeper, she did for me on the characters, and that was to make a character worksheet. And this is so tiny you can't see it. And to be honest, it's so tiny it's hard for me to see it. I need some glasses, I think. But it gives stuff like Violet Parker, her nicknames, her hair color, her eye color, her physical things, age, car, living arrangements, and any extra like executioner and now timekeeper, realtor. So this is just kind of an overall high thing for me to use for characters if I needed it. And sometimes I will. I'll say, what color is Tiffany's eyes again? Because they're just like glowing orbs of cruelty when I look at Tiffany through Violet's eyes. But I will use stuff like that to help me keep track of the different characters and what I'm doing. Let's see. And what else? This was another fun thing that I have. It's the threads and general questions and things to watch for. And this is something that I will get from Diane partway through, or sometimes other people out who are reading. And I'll say, I need you to tell me what threads are still hanging out there that you think I've missed or that I need to address yet. And so then I'll get a bunch of these. And the reason I'm going to talk about these a little bit today is because there are some things that I'm going to give those of you watching a hint for book 11, what's coming. So, for example, one of the things Diane put was Slagton. Coop getting the picture from there. Who is it? Who took it? Was it a good guy or bad guy? We learn more about that picture from back in Slagton in book 9 as we deal with Slagton for the first time. So that's kind of fun. Then there's where's the other white grizzly? They hunt in pairs. So she reminds me, you said they hunted in pairs, clear back in book 3, I believe. So where is the other white grizzly? I have not forgotten that other one. It's around. You'll see. Here's one that, oh, what was the we want what belongs to us in regards to? Is it the demon book, or does it need something else? Who left Violet notes? Who put her bag in the police? Who put it in her bag in the police station? See, Diane does not let me forget these things either. Family history book. Who else is in it? Did Lane learn more than just about executioners? Does he and Addie figure out it's their family? We kind of touched on that a little today. What's up with the box filled with dead body parts burned? Do they ever figure out who's in it and who did it? Oh, those guys are good. How do you say that? Is it, I think it's Noxer? Noxer. I try to say it like I hear when I do the German translated into English. But anyway, there's more to come with those things. Those are nasty. What is Doc doing with the twins? And for those of you who have read book 10 in the series, you do know now what he's been doing with the twins when they go to the rec center. So here's some fun stuff that you're going to learn more about in book 11 when that comes out next month. So these are little teasers, kind of. Where's the leader? I think I'm saying that right. Why does Dominic want it? What's it doing? And who's it going to attach to next? That's a really good question. And you can stay tuned in book 11 to find out more about that sucker. Any more talk about Kirkaz and Azazel? Are they in the hellhole under Calamity Jane's? I've had people ask me about the hellhole. We are going to talk more about the hellhole, so stay tuned for more fun on that. Let's see what else. What lives in the abandoned mine / tunnels? What's been eating those who are left and killed by Callie? We are going to learn more about that as well. What happens with Jeff's tattooed girlfriend? She's got the goat pig tattoo. Now, for those of you who read the Deadwood Undertaker series, does that ring any bells for you? What part does she play in things? Was she just into being watched, or did she want Violet in particular? She going to get into it with Tiffany? That's a fun thing to think about, isn't that? What's with the mead? Why is it so important to others? Again, stay tuned, book 11. And more info needed on the mirror in Zoe's workshop and the photo of Violet on it. Once again, I'm going to finally make Diane happy because these things have been on her sheets for me, book after book after book. And so now her list is going to change, right, Diane? Now we're going to have some other things on it as well, though, that will add to that. But there are going to be a lot of questions answered, I believe, for many of you. No, Cooper did not tell us his name, so I'm sorry that's not going to be on there. But there are many other things that are going to be answered for you. And as I said when I said it was done, it's a long book. At about 100K, I thought, well, I think I'm close to the end. And then I wrote 35,000 more words. So that's like a whole nother short story I added to it, but it's not, I mean, it's all part of the flow. But it's a nice, long Violet book that I think you'll be happy. I think there's only been one book longer than it, which might be, oh, shoot, what was that? Was it Better Off Dead was 140? Or maybe it was Rattling the Heat was 140. One of these guys was really long like that, too. So I'm hoping that it's enough for now. But, you know, of course, there's always more to come. So we'll enjoy more to come. And for those of you who hate the end for now, just know that for now means there's going to be more. If I ever just write the end, yeah, then that is a dark day because that means it's done. Oh, let's see. Do we have another one? Oh, we have another question that came in. Can a boy become an executioner? This is from Gail, I think, Mathers. Can a boy become an executioner? Lane seems to be showing fighting skills and armor he wants. Boys cannot. Executioners are only female. Females pass it down through the line. However, for those who have read Fatal Traditions, know that in the past, Violet's ancestor, oh, crud, I can't think of her name. All I can think is Ariel for some reason. Well, if they married back then, had children with a summoner, which is what those of you who read the Dig Site series know Quinn, Violet's brother, what he's dealing with. So there was a mating that occurred, again, for breeding purposes. This is good. And Lane could become a summoner. While he can't be an executioner, he could very well be a summoner. So that allows opportunity there for him. The problem with the summoners, though, if you remember from, I believe it's in that series, or is it or maybe it's also in Fatal, it's just in Fatal Traditions, and it might be book 9 too, is that when you have a summoner, there really should be an executioner around, because summoners do what that says. They summon things to them without realizing it. So they're like a beacon out there drawing everything in. So it's really good for an executioner to be there so that the executioner can take out whatever comes if it's trouble. So there is that possibility for Lane to take that route. Oh, we have a winner of the mug. For those of you who saw my Facebook page, we have a really cool mug, and I don't have it here. Michelle and Mark Davis are so awesome. They create these really cool, fun promo prizes for both contests on my Purple Door Saloon page, for those of you on there, and then also for these live shows we do. And today we have a mug, coffee mug, and it has the cover for the new, or not for the new, for In Cahoots with the Prickly Pear Posse, which is Jackrabbit 5, and on the back is a really cool skeleton listening in celebration of, yes, finally, In Cahoots is on audiobook. Oh my gosh, if you knew how long this has taken. It really started early last fall, and it's just, there's been little hiccups all along the way until finally I got the message that it's live, and I can't believe it's finally out there. But for those of you who like the Morgan sisters, they're so much fun. Lisa did a real fun job this time of Crazy Kate, Claire, Natalie, Cooper, and Ronnie, and all the other characters. Lisa did a bang-up job of that whole thing, and I loved listening to it, and I hope you guys do too. It's a great thing to get your mind off whatever you're doing, or if you're doing a puzzle, or if you're vacuuming, which is when I like to listen to stuff. So it's out there. It's on Amazon, Audible, and Apple. It's only with those 3 vendors because I go through ACX for that series, and that is the 3 vendors they will put it on. Okay, let's see. Elena, nope, you promised more, which means you can never die and must write forever, Elena. All right, well, you have to stick around and keep reading all the time too. So if I keep living, then you have to keep living and reading. So as long as we're together on this, and I think you're younger than me, Elena, so you can hang in there longer than I can, I think. Could Angelica be an executioner? This is Laura, Angelica being the star, one of the heroine down in the Dig Site series. I suppose, she could, but she is not, tied into the lines that currently I've been writing about. As it is right now, I tend to think of her kind of as Hermione Granger in the Harry Potter series. She knows so much about the past, about the Maya in particular, but other cultures as well. So she's like this brain that comes in that has all this past knowledge with some of the things that Quint's dealing with down there. She is the one that knows what's going on and what a creature is per se, or what this means on this Maya temple that's talking about stuff. But one thing I have with the Dig Site series that I really love is, there's this whole, for those of you who know about the Maya and their history, there were these big city-states, and they just kind of disappeared quickly in time, and many thoughts are they got sick and died off, they moved because resources were used up. There's all kinds of theories. But one of the things I like to think is, what if, they have this huge, huge underworld with all kinds of gods and whatnot, this big religion, these ideas and all that good stuff, mythology, if you will. What if all that was true? What if it was based off truth? We read it and think those guys, boy, they were having a good time down there in the jungle, weren't they? With all these crazy, the god of this, the god of that, the sun god, the underworld gods. What if there were really things that made them think that way? What if they were seeing creatures and witnessing things that brought on all these stories? So that's kind of part of the concept with the Dig Site series, as they keep digging into the past, what they're going to find. So that's a fun series. And there will be more of that. But there is just me for these other series, except, Sam Lucky and I get to write the Undertaker series, and he's moving right along. So that's wonderful. But for the other stuff, there's just me, and I can only write one series at a time. I've tried to write multiple series. I really have. But my right brain gets really pissy with me and says, no, we're over here. We're focusing on this right now. Get your mind in the game over here. Don't even be thinking about that. Does book 11 occur after Natalie returns from Arizona, or is she still there? This is Becca. Natalie's back. Cooper's back. Harvey's back. It's the whole gang. We're back in Deadwood, all of them. And things are moving. And it's pretty close. It's just a few days, I think, after Natalie and old man Harvey got back. So everyone's back. What's happened in Arizona does not stay in Arizona. So there's some excitement on the side with that, with what happened. But we're really back in the swing of it. The holidays are over. Charging forward. Crap's happening right out of the gate. First chapter, all kinds of fun. So it's a good time. I think you're going to enjoy it. First draft crew really seemed to enjoy it. Now we'll see how the betas like it as it goes through. And then the betas it's really scary when you beta readers who help me do this. And I usually pick the beta readers based off certain things from working with them before. But anyway, that's a really big test for me because beta is testing a much more wider audience. And if beta likes it, beta crew tends to be positive about it, then I feel good. And when I push publish, my only worry are all the errors that I could find. You know, hopefully we've caught almost everything. But that's how important those guys are to me as well. Do you listen to music while writing and bring them into stories? I do listen to music, Heather. And it depends. My son loves Two Steps from Hell. And what Two Steps from Hell is this instrumental, I don't know if it's a group or they work with orchestras, but they do a lot of gaming music, the theme music in several video games and some movies too. They're really amazing instrumentals where it makes you feel like it can be adventure, it can be soulful, it can be, you know, scary. So I'll do that. I also do listen to other instrumental music. Like this time there were a couple scenes in this book book 11, where I was listening to the Halloween theme. Those of you who've seen the Halloween movies know what I'm talking about. And there was another theme. Oh, The Shining. The Shining, I found that theme. And so I used that. That's really good. And so that will help me with scary. And if it's more romance, I will tend to listen to something that's much more, you know, I don't know, romancy feeling. So I will a lot of times listen to music while writing, and it helps me get into a zone of sort. Oh, crap. Sorry, I never said who won the mugs. Michelle's right. Michelle just wrote to me. The winner of the mugs is Christina Wynn. W-I-N-N. Thank you. And I'm so sorry to have drawn that out. I blame tequila. I am drinking. So, Christina, if you write me privately on Facebook, then I will give me your mailing address, physical mailing address. I'll forward that on to Mark and Michelle. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay. Let me go back to the questions. Oh, I can't believe I totally spaced that. Yeah, I can believe I totally spaced that. Is Cornelius a summoner? That's Barbara West. No. Cornelius has many other talents, and we're going to learn more about Cornelius as well in Book 11. But I will say he's not a summoner. He's got other things he does. Who is the mug winner? Okay, are we going to find out why Harvey isn't affected by Dahmer? That's from Barbara Williams Schiller. Hi, Barbara. We're getting there. We're going to learn more about that in Book 11, and we will be finding out more, yes, as the story continues. There is a reason. It wasn't just random. Harvey, there's something special about Harvey as well. Is there something between Rosie and Cornelius? That's Barbara Guy. You know, that's a good question. Those two are really fun when they're on scene together, and they know so much about the same stuff. They're both into very similar things. So I think time will tell on that. We'll see how their relationship develops and what goes on. There is poor Frisia waiting around for obtuse Cornelius, but Rosie is a really fun person, and she knows a lot. And so there will be more of Rosie in the series as we keep going as well. Okay, so I think maybe I'm caught up on questions for now. I think I'm caught up on questions for now. You guys are awesome. These questions are really amazing. I really appreciate the time you're putting into digging deep and trying to come to me with stuff that I don't normally, I get asked. I get asked some things all the time, but these are questions that, wow, we're digging deep. So I put out the quiz 8 today for those of you who like to do the quizzes. It's out there on my website under the blog, and I think it's the mystery series quizzes. Mystery quizzes is maybe what it's called. If you click on that, it's for every quiz, so you can find quiz 8 out there. We'll do quiz 9 next week. It might be right before the show again. I don't know. I get busy doing other stuff, and so the quiz gets put off a little bit, and I apologize for that. But it will be there for as long as you need it. So you can prep for book 9. We'll talk about book 9 next time and go into that stuff some more. But we can also talk about stuff in the past if you guys want to bring that back, or we can talk about stuff to come a little bit more by the time we meet again. I think, I don't know. Here's what's going to happen yet with book 11. It's right now at my editor's in her hands, and she will take 2 weeks. We'll see how long to do her part. It'll come back to me. I will clean it up, get it ready. We will ship it out to the beta crew that will already have been pulled in and prepped for this, and that's a small crew. There's not a lot, and these beta crew, for those of you thinking, well, I might like to be on it, it's not, I don't do a bunch of people. I tend to choose ones that have been doing this for a long time because they deliver certain things. Everybody has a different way of editing and finding certain things, and I've come to rely on all the different pieces that come together. So it's not preferential and, oh, so-and-so is my favorite. It's what they bring to the table that I've learned over time, and I need that part for the whole thing. Now, there's times when certain people can't do it. There's times when I think, oh, you've talked to me on the side, and I know you're an expert on such and such, so would you be willing to read this time as well? And I have done that in the past, and I will continue to do that here and there. But I can't have too many on the beta team because I'm the one who goes through every email that comes in from them. I go through all edits. I reply to them individually as each email, as well as writing them, a card later. And in my experience, if I have more than a certain number, I am completely overwhelmed with, a lot of times it's the same edits. Sometimes there's, often there's different, but I only have this much time, and I can't do hundreds of beta replies. I've done that in the past, so I know what that takes. So I limit it to a certain number, and that's how this works. So beta will get their edits back. They'll probably, for those of you who have been beta before, and I told you almost every time, you'll probably have a week, and I hope that works for you. I know May, some of us might be getting back to work if they let up on some of the lockdowns, and I know some of you are still working from home, so it's not easy for you to fit this in, and I really appreciate your help in advance, as will the other readers helping to make this book 11 shine. I'll be sharing the book cover soon because we'll have the pre-order ready. And once I have that button ready to push, I will put that book cover out there, and we'll start doing more with the book cover, which will be fun. I can't wait to show you the cover. One thing I will tell you, this is book 11, and the first 10 in the series were kind of like a chunk. And if you look at a series overline, it was through the first turning point of kind of the series. So now we want to change the covers a little bit for the next, jump we do, the next turning point worth of time. So the covers are similar, but they're a little different, just in small things. So you'll see the purple boots. Purple boots are still there, but we're mixing it up now. We're doing a few things different, and that will work for the next group of books, so that if you see them out there on the shelf, or if you're looking for, you can go, oh, this was different, and you'll know this is the next, group of books. It'll help you visually know where you're at. Plus, we're putting the book number on the front cover now to help you guys as well, because 10 books in, now this is 11, it gets kind of where they all start to, after a while, they'll start looking the same. So we're putting the book number on there as well to help you guys see that. Have I heard anything on the Deadwood fan party? The Deadwood fan party. I need to talk to Rose Spears, who's in charge of Deadwood history, and the venue, who is in charge of the venue we're going to use for the fan party. And I plan to talk to her this week, and we'll discuss postponement, or what it looks like there. I can tell you this: the city of Lead has, to my knowledge, shut down fireworks and some other big things going on in late June, early July, and that's a problem, because if they're starting to limit the amount of people coming for venues, then that means we can't all be there. They're not going to allow that. That doesn't mean they won't allow book signings. So we may end up, Mr. Lucky and the kids and I still want to go to Deadwood if they're not quarantining still by then. So if we are able to go and spend a week there, we still might, and we still might see if there's a way we can do an outside book signing where it gives everybody space to be more careful, and people can wear masks if they want. So I have to call the vendors. I have to check around and see. But at this time, due to the restrictions by the state and by the cities, my hands are tied. And to be honest, I do not want someone to come and get sick and something even worse to happen, all just to come to a fan party that I had. It's not that important in my feelings. We can postpone it. Certainly everyone's health is much more important than this. I'm also looking at a way of maybe doing some virtual book signings when the new books are out, and I have a stack here where we could do something like Facebook Live, and then you could purchase the book and it'll show up on my purchasing phone, and then I'll take your book and we'll talk for a moment, and then I can sign whatever you want me to do. I think that work. It might be a little awkward at first, but I think we could do it. That way some of you could get signed books if you want. So that's another idea. There's a couple more questions that have come in, and then I'm going to wrap it up for today. Oh, thank you for those of you who like my hair. I'm playing. You know, you can't go to the hairdresser. My hairdresser's really fun. She gave me blue shampoo, or it was lavender, and then she gave me purple, so now we're on purple. We'll see what happens. Maybe by the time it's all done, I'll have like a rainbow effect. I don't know. But I don't care. She says she can turn me back to whatever color I want, so we're going to keep playing. And in the meantime, it just keeps getting longer and longer, which we joke that I'm her hair farmer, so I'm growing hair for her to cut later. How old is Cornelius? This is Deidre. Cornelius, you know, some people will think of him as much older than he is. In my mind, he's only in his mid-30s. He just acts like a really weird, eccentric older guy, but he's really only in his 30s. I mean, was it his great-grandfather or his grandfather? I think it was his grandfather early on in the series just passed away down in Vegas. So, you know, his grandfather was older, but he's not that old. But he's not that young either. He's seen a lot. He's been around a lot. Just like Doc, he's traveled a lot, and Cornelius had lots of money. So he was able to really go experience all kinds of creepy ghost things. Wendy, are fans confusing Rosa with Freesia? Oh, maybe not. No, I don't think so, Wendy. That was Wendy asking me a question. So I think I've gotten just about all the questions answered. I'm checking. Heard anything on the, oh, that was Rick who asked about the Deadwood Fan Party. Rick, I really want to go. And maybe we'll get to see each other just with masks on this year. And it'll be a little bit different for this year's party, but we'll see. And I really want to have the guys and gals from Black Hills Paranormal Investigation. So I have to talk to them too and see what we can do, what we're allowed to do. You know, can we still do the haunted house? And if not, for those of you who purchase tickets, there'll be a way to, we'll make sure everything's worked out that you can have money back, or we can postpone it till later. So just stay tuned. We'll be working that out in May. I wanted to wait through April a little bit and see how this whole coronavirus went through, and we all know how that's gone through. So, okay, so I think that's just about it for today. Thank you all who came. I know it's a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and well, at least here. So I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me. And if anyone missed it, and you're watching this later, thanks for watching it. And if you have questions, you can always bring them to the next thing. And we'll either do Saturday or Sunday. I'll put a question out early in the week and see what works best for everybody for next weekend. I think Mother's Day is coming up sometime soon. Cinco de Mayo is coming as well. So we need to figure out which day works better. And I keep trying to go back and forth so that those who like Saturdays have some that work for them, and those who like Sundays have some that work for them. So thank you all for coming. I appreciate all your questions. And 6 years, 6 years of friendship, Deidre. That's awesome. Good to see it. So anyway, thank you guys. And I really appreciate all those who ask questions and come. And we'll see what we have next time to give away. Woohoo! All right. Everybody have a great day and be safe. Talk to you later.